much. The public has about 1 month to comment on draft rules for what to do with hazardous oil field waste that's left behind after a well is drilled. State regulators released the draft rules this week, but documents reveal that oil field companies helped craft Texas's new waste rules for 2 years before the public got to see them. And that's the focus of the latest report by Emily Foxhall of the Texas Tribune, and she joins us this afternoon. Emily, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, you were really in depth on this report. First, though, let's start with this. For years, Texans have tried to really stop the oil field waste dumps in their communities. For a little context here, though, Emily, how do these new draft rules really address waste dump?
Sure. I think it's important first to understand what oil field waste is. So there's a lot of it. There's thousands of wells that are drilled every year in Texas, and all of the mud and the salty water and the bits of rocky earth that come back up from the well along with the oil and gas, that's the waste that we're talking about. So these rules have to do with especially what do you do with the solid bits of waste that can be recycled, or they're also often just dumped in these hazardous waste pits. So the rules, it's a long document, but there were a couple of things that we really picked out that we felt were significant. One is that the rules are going to limit who can protest when a company wants to build one of these new pit facilities. The rules are also going to restrict a little bit where the pits can be located, so keeping them away from rivers and lakes and water sources like that. And the third thing is that industry will better be able to suggest new methods for recycling the waste, which is something that industry advocates were really pushing for.
Okay, so in your article, we see that those regulations really haven't seen significant revisions since 1984. What are some of the changes, though, that the people who you spoke to want to see?
The industry groups, I think, really looked exactly at what you just said. You know, these hadn't been touched in decades. They felt like they were really out of date and needed to be brought up to speed just with the way the business of oil field waste works now. But I also went out and visited a man in a very small city called Nordheim. He has a family property just outside the town. And it's this farm where generations of his family have lived, and they really loved just how it was this peaceful place surrounded by cattle and oak trees, and a waste pit facility ended up starting right next door to their property. So he told us about the smells that he's experienced and this constant noise from truck traffic. And he's especially worried about the liners that are at the bottom of these pits. He's afraid that those might leak and contaminate the water, which of course is what these rules are designed to keep from happening. But I think the big picture for people like him and for a lot of environmental advocates is just this concern that the Railroad Commission isn't hearing the concerns of regular people and isn't acting on their concerns and drawing them into the process enough.
And let's get to the headline now, really, of your article. The oil field waste executives, as well as consultants, they helped write those regulations beginning in 2021. What are the concerns of critics, and what are the advocates saying on the flip side?
Yeah, there's a watchdog group called Commission Shift that really took the commission to task for the way that this happened, because they see a huge conflict of interest in groups that have, a financial stake in these rules getting to be involved early on, way ahead of the public, in rewriting them. And the people involved in the process, though, defend themselves. The industry representatives say, well, they're the experts on it. They really understand what needed to change. And now the public is going to have a chance to comment. The other piece we looked at is that one of the 3 railroad commissioners, and those are the people in Texas who regulate the oil and gas industry, one of them was very interested, especially in overseeing or initiating a process to look at these rules. And he has financial ties to the hazardous waste industry. But that commissioner, whose name is Jim Wright, really defended his role in the process and said that the commission had intended to look at this all along before he got there. And he said that the rules that they are now putting forward a draft version of, he really stands behind and believes will benefit all of Texas and not just the industrial members.
And then Emily, lastly, how can the public weigh in on these rules and when could we see implementation?
Sure. So the public gets 1 month, which is pretty quick, but you have until about a month from now to weigh in. And you can do that by going online to the Railroad Commission's website. There's a form that you can fill out, or the commission will also be hosting 2 meetings toward the end of the month, one that will be at their office in Austin and one that will be virtually. So you can go to our story for information about that or to the commission's website.
Okay, Emily Foxhall from Texas Tribune, thank you so much. And of course, we have a link to your story on our website at kxan.com.